Fala moçada, aqui é o Moraes, estamos aí para começar mais uma jogatina aqui no canal. E hoje aí dando início à jogatina de The Stanley Parable, a parábola de Stanley. Game aí que foi disponibilizado na Plus, acho que no mês de dezembro do ano passado. Um game do qual eu não fazia ideia que existia, mas que a versão original acho que saiu pro Play 3, eu acho. Alguma coisa assim. Já é um jogo que já foi lançado um tempo atrás e agora tem a versão Ultra Deluxe. Eu peguei a versão de Play 4 porque é a que tem com a legenda em português. A versão de Play 5 não tem legendas em português. Então, bora lá para esse game aqui bem estranho, até onde eu tenho conhecimento. E parece ser bem interessante. Ele tem umas coisas bem estranhas. Eu peguei até a tela inicial dele. E isso aqui realmente faz alguma diferença se você coloca que você já jogou ou se não jogou The Stanley. Eu, como não joguei, eu vou botar aqui não. Ajuste controle deslizante até que o computador quase não seja visível. Eu gosto de deixar ele um pouco mais claro. Aí se eu vejo que está claro demais, eu escureço. Então deixar aqui mais ou menos. Deixar aqui o pezinho na cadeira. Isso aqui também interfere bastante no jogo, que ele tem 2 troféus que dá para ser burlado. Um que é para você jogar The Stanley 10 anos depois. Fique sem jogar por 10 anos. Aí é só, acho que ajustar a hora ali, desliga a internet, ajusta a hora no console para daqui 10 anos e tu consegue conquistar o troféuzinho. E o outro é que tem que jogar o jogo do início ao fim de uma terça-feira. Também dá para fazer isso só desconectando a internet e alterando a hora no console. Eu vou botar a hora, essa aqui, eu vou botar a hora que está agora mesmo, que é 21 horas e 2 minutos. Eu acho que ele não tem 21. Tem que botar 9 horas então. 9 horas. Ah tá, mas espera aí. É para ele alterar ali o PM, a PM ali, que é a hora americana, né? AM de manhã e PM é no período da tarde. 9 horas e 3. Confirmar. Observação: as configurações de acessibilidade podem ser acessadas a partir do menu principal. Ele tem um menu aqui bem interessante também, porque além do computador que aparece aqui em primeiro plano, tem um computadorzinho dentro do computador. Iniciar jogo, galera. Se eu altero aqui, altera lá dentro e altera lá no computador também que aparece na tela. É bem interessante aí. Deixa eu ver configurações. Campo de visão. Sensibilidade da câmera. Vou deixar em 7. Aqui não. Idiomas português. Manter a legenda ligado. Tamanho da legenda. Tamanho da legenda. Máximo. Tem grande, muito grande e muito pequeno. Tá em muito grande. Mostrar etiquetas de tradução. Mostrar etiqueta de tradução, tá desligado. Também etiqueta de tradução. Deixar em grande. Etiqueta de tradução, mostrar etiquetas. Aqui é a opacidade. Deixar em 80.
This is the story.
Uma parada bem louca. Mostrar avisos de conteúdo. Ativa avisos de conteúdo. E uma opção para pular sessões do jogo que lidam com questões de suicídio, trauma e problemas de saúde mental. Tá desligado, vou deixar desligado. Reduz movimento, remove a trepidação da tela e a oscilação da câmera. Deixar ligado, deixar desligado. Modo de baixa destreza, reduz a dificuldade para comando sensível ao tempo de ações e precisão. Deixar ligado. Se tem no jogo, pode usar. Ativa e desativa o andar automático. Deixar desligado. Definir excluir de salve. Não. Entrei sem querer ali no jogo, eu tive que voltar para ajustar de novo aqui as configurações. Então acho que é isso. Tudo certo. Tem aqui o áudio, volume, voz do narrador. A música está um pouco baixa. E às vezes a música incomoda. Deixar no 60 e volume dos efeitos sonoros. Comando. O L2 agacha. O pausa. O X interage e é só isso. Agora sim, vamos iniciar o jogo.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
A voz do narrador é bem legal. Eu acho que se o jogo tivesse a opção de dublado, não sei não, ia ficar uma dublagem legal. Tô com a sensibilidade aqui da câmera muito rápida. Acho que depois até já vou alterar isso. Não dá dor de cabeça. Aqui tem 1 hora, são exatamente... Tem como aproximar? Não. São 11 horas e 21 minutos. Consigo mexer aqui? Não. Tem um papel, caneta. Opa! Só um barulho de tecla. A história que eu sei é essa. Stanley tá ali de boa e de repente todo mundo some. E só fica ele no escritório. A porta não abre. Eu tenho que mudar essa configuração da câmera. Melhorar a câmera. Deixar em 4. Deixar em 3.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Sala de reunião.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ó, tinha alguém que só ficava apontando o lápis aqui, ó.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Um telefonezinho verde de abacate. Opa. Ih, desligou sozinho aqui. Uma copiadora. Tá. Voltei para minha sala.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Vixe, não entendia nada. Voltei para minha sala.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, pois é, mas eu estava indo até a sala de reunião quando eu voltei para o meu computador.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Aí só entrar na direita. Se eu entrar na direita. Vou entrar na direita, cara.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Que a porta se fechou atrás de mim. Ainda é 11 horas e 20 minutos. Os relógios estão certinhos. Sala 449, sala 450.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left. Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that at last he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Tá aí, se eu não entrar na primeira porta à esquerda, fica me dizendo o que eu tenho que fazer. Vou dar um bisu aqui.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Se eu sigo um caminho errado, o caminho se fecha. Então, qual é a treta pra cá? Ó, mas um caminho se fechou. Ai, caí!
But in his eagerness to
Morri!
prove that he is in
Morri!
control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
O narrador ainda disse que eu tentei me matar.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Eu achei que ele não ia cair.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Estou pedindo por ela. Ok.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Eu já vi que se eu não seguir as ordens, ou eu demoro para chegar onde eu preciso chegar, ou eu acabo morrendo se eu fizer alguma merda. Acho que no fim eu vou chegar na sala de reuniões, querendo ou não. Ih, cacete. Ih.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Ficou triste, ficou desanimado. Não está seguindo as ordens dele.
Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Tá, e se eu não entrar?
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Seu filho da mãe. Tu me obrigou a fazer o que tu quer.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Bom dia, funcionário 427. Pressione bolinha em controle. Tá. Não consigo passar. Sou obrigado a apertar o bolinha.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Por favor, pressione o direcional para baixo.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Por favor, pressione o X.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Por favor, pressione triângulo para ver TV.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Por favor, pressione direcional para cima para passar tempo com os rapazes.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Por favor, pressione direcional para cima para preparar jantar.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Vou dar umas paradas aqui na sala.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Por favor, pressione direcional para baixo para dizer à sua esposa que você a ama.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Pressione triângulo para dormir.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Mas eu vou apertar.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Pressione para não questionar nada. Tá, agora eu não vou apertar. A hora já avançou, já é 11 horas e 27 minutos. Eu acho que eu vou ser obrigado a apertar.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again,
Por
and
favor,
Stanley
morra.
pushed a button. And I tried.
Ih. Comecei de novo. Pô, eu tava ficando tonto fazendo isso aqui, ó. Nossa. Ficando tonto já.
All of his
Tá, vamos
co-workers were
seguir o que ele
gone.
quer que eu
What could
siga
it
agora,
mean?
então.
Stanley decided to go to the
Chega de
meeting room.
palhaçada.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Então vamos na porta esquerda. Apesar que eu poderia ir na direita e chegar lá e pegar a porta que ele pediu para eu pegar. Né? Seria algo diferente ainda. Ó, voltou a ser 11 horas e 21 minutos. Cheguei à sala de reunião.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Eu deveria ter pegado a direita, depois entrado na que ele queria que eu entrasse. Dispensa. Tá, deixa eu ver a dispensa.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
O cara tá meio me sacaneando.
Coming
Aí
to a
agora, bonito,
staircase,
pra cima ou pra
Stanley
baixo?
walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Subir? Se eu descer, se eu descer. Fazer tudo que ele não quer que eu faça. É a garagem.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. "I'm dreaming!" he yelled. "This is all a dream." Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What? Mariella?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this. So it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Voltei pro começo.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Eu vou entrar nessa aqui.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Tá, isso aqui vai me levar para baixo?
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Agora sou obrigado a ir para a esquerda mesmo. Não tem outra opção.
Oh, no. No, it's to the right, my mistake.
Pilantra.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Caramba. Ó, Matrix?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Tchá, eu não gosto quando sai do caminho. Tá, já fiz todas as opções possíveis indo contra ele. Agora vamos seguir o caminho correto.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Tá. Todas as portas se abriram. Bom, segundo a história, é para eu ir pela porta da esquerda. Ixi, agora já virou um labirinto isso aqui.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Já se encheu comigo já.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ih? E agora o cara tá me sacaneando. Eu sacaneei ele, agora ele tá me sacaneando.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Ele tá me pilantrando agora. Ih. Ih.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Tem uma linha pra eu seguir agora. Pra eu não pegar outro caminho. É, mas não era por aqui não. Tá, vamos seguir. Vamos seguir. É. Tá. Vamos seguir ali. Ele fez um caminho diferente. Mas vamos por aqui. Tinha alguém jogando paciência.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Música. Tá de sacanagem comigo. É só vir reto aqui, ó. 8, 7. Ei. Achei que era tipo uma contagem regressiva. Subir pela parede é meio difícil, né? Ih, deu uma bugada ali.
Wait, cut the music, go back and look at that fern.
A samambaia?
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Tá. Vamos olhar a samambaia. Não tem nada de diferente, nada de estranho. É só uma samambaia.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Cara, tu que me trouxe até aqui. Tá, agora qual? Peraí que tem tipo dois caminhos aqui, ó. Vem pra cá. Ou eu venho pra cá. Tá. Aqui eu volto lá pro meu 427. Volto lá pro meu escritório. Então, pra cá. Ih, voltei pra cá.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Vamos recomeçar.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Oh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Tá, que sacana. Tá.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Continua não tendo pés, nem corpo.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey. though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Ih, droga. Eu queria ler o que tava no quadro.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Agora sim, vamos lá. Que até hoje eu tô ficando já... Tá, nem vou entrar na dispensa.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Vou subir. Banheiro executivo. Ó, banheirão, hein? Ah, e agora? O cara vai ficar puto comigo. Tremendo todo o elevador. Ah, foi só sacanagem isso aqui. É só pra eu achar que tava indo pra algum lugar. Pô, teto alto pra caramba.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Acho que é aqui que tem o troféu.
2845.
Apertar às vezes o número 8.
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Ih, abriu um negócio aqui. Independente se eu digitasse qualquer número, ia abrir.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Tá, rota de fuga ou centro de controle mental.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Ah, então vou morrer.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ih, vou cair num buraco.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Não foi o que aconteceu.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Que esse aqui é uma miniatura, que seria o que? O meu escritório. As duas portas. O conjunto de duas portas abertas foi a primeira peça concreta do design de Stanley Parable. Assim que essa sala foi criada, o resto do jogo surgiu como extensão dela, com uma exploração da contradição representada por esta sala. Computador do Stanley. Planta do escritório. Essa planta mostra o escritório no início do jogo, o caminho do escritório de Stanley até as duas portas. Foi a primeira parte do jogo a ser projetada. Durante o processo de desenvolvimento, outras seções foram adicionadas e alteradas, embora a planta principal permaneça quase idêntica à da primeira versão. Corredor. O ritmo da sessão de abertura era crucial para o jogo. Este corredor foi movido e alterado para garantir que o jogador pudesse chegar às duas portas no momento certo. Som e botões. Uma seção de sons usados ao longo do jogo quando os botões são pressionados. Cada som é uma mistura de um toque de tecla com um tom sintetizado. Computador do escritório. Armários e arquivos. Tá, pra cá ou pra cá? O que é isso aqui? Baseado no trabalho de equipe de Stanley para o 2013. Créditos. Kevin Briggs como o narrador. Vi o nome Kevin. Mas Kevin? O escritório. Sala de manutenção. Uma versão inicial da sala de manutenção. Zona de guerra. No início do desenvolvimento, projetamos um final em que a história acabaria em um campo de batalha lutando contra alienígenas. O jogo de ação ganharia consciência e declararia guerra contra o narrador. Logo após começarmos sua construção, percebemos que era algo jocoso e irônico demais para o tom do jogo. Além disso, algumas pessoas interpretaram isso como se fosse uma forma de tirar sarro dos fãs de jogos de tiro, e que não era nossa intenção. E-mails para o narrador. Após o segundo trailer que divulgamos, pedimos às pessoas que enviassem perguntas por e-mail ao narrador. Embora o plano inicial fosse usar esses materiais promocionais adicionais, nunca chegamos a encontrar a forma perfeita de aproveitá-los. Aqui está uma seção desses e-mails. Caramba, meu! Cara, mais coisa que eu ando tem parecendo mais cenário. Maquete do design do jogo. O jogo já salvou alguma vez? Nem sei se já salvou. Este é o nível que o William, o designer de níveis, enviou a Dave, o roteirista, com uma espécie de proposta. O grande potencial desse nível fez com que o William fosse contratado para projetar o jogo completo, embora grande parte do ambiente tenha mudado. O layout original desse modelo ainda está presente no jogo. Agora vem pra cá ou vem pra cá? Vamos vir pra cá. Aqui são as salas. escritório do Stanley. Qual é o meu escritório aqui? Esse aqui? 427. Todos são 427. Da esquerda para a direita, a evolução do escritório do Stanley ao longo do tempo. O primeiro foi criado em novembro de 2011, o segundo em março de 2012 e o terceiro em fevereiro de 2013. Tá. Da esquerda, falando? Da esquerda para a direita. Então, isso aqui. Mesa de contagem regressiva. Uma das mesas em uma versão inicial, no final da contagem regressiva. Elevador na sala de monitores. Ficar de pé. Por um tempo o elevador da sala de monitores podia subir ou descer. Acima estava a liberdade e abaixo estava a contagem regressiva. Desistimos disso quando os jogadores achavam muito difícil lembrar o que havia acima e o que havia embaixo. Então decidimos colocar os dois finais juntos. Sala de contagem regressiva. Uma versão inicial da sala de contagem regressiva. Tá, pra cá tem alguma coisa e pra cá continua o cenário. Final zen. Esta captura de tela mostra uma versão inicial no final conhecido como final zen, que acabou sendo cortado e mesclado com outra parte do jogo. Alavancas do final zen. Essas alavancas eram originalmente uma parte do final zen. O jogador puxaria uma alavanca e o narrador diria a cor da alavanca acionada. Ainda bem que chega numa sala sem saída, né? Trailer. Nós lançamos 4 trailers principais ao longo do desenvolvimento do jogo, cada um com uma intenção de apresentar um aspecto do espírito do jogo. Esse é o primeiro lançado em maio de 2012. Ele exibe uma série de salas incompletas e a voz do narrador informando aos espectadores que ele está reparando uma nova versão de Stanley Parable. Tá, legal. Uma pessoa de porta de manutenção, funcionários, 2 opções para a porta para manutenção. duto de ventilação, opção de porta para manutenção na sala de funcionários e a opção original de voltar ao caminho para o final da confusão. Sala de reunião, planta da sala de reunião. Que é Lost, cronômetro do apartamento. Uma versão anterior da escolha que levava ao final do apartamento. O cronômetro dava 15 segundos para o jogador atender o telefone. Caso o jogador não atendesse o telefone, isso levaria a um final diferente. Tá, voltei, eu acho.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Ih, morri. Voltei.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Tá, vamos digitar agora o código certo. 2845.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Tá, antes eu já tinha aberto, mas com o número errado.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Tá, e agora? Eu não consigo subir?
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
E voltei pra cá. Bom, então é isso. Essa voltou a hora normal. Essa primeira
All of his
jogatina aí
co-workers
de
were gone. What could it mean?
The
Stanley
Stanley
decided to go to the
Parable
meeting
vai
room.
ficando por aqui.
Perhaps
O
he had
jogo é
simply
bem
missed a
louco,
memo.
fora das ideias.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a
E provavelmente
trace
ele
of
deve
his
ter salvado,
co-workers.
né? Já morri algumas vezes, sempre volto pra cá. O narrador fica puto comigo. E às vezes me bota em caminhos que não é o caminho certo. Ou eu não sigo o caminho que é certo. Então é isso. Até a próxima. Valeu, falou, abraço. E até.